Ready?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
Go.
Sure.
Welcome to Movie Podcast. That's right, Movie Podcast. It is the first week of, it took me a second, to be or not to be, or September, or whatever we're calling this month.
I think that this promises to be a theme that we could revisit every year.
Oh, this is a solid theme.
Mm-hmm.
The movie we watched called Yakuza Apocalypse was something.
It's insane. It's totally insane.
I don't know.
It was definitely something.
If it's my job to explain it, I will be hard pressed to explain it.
I think it defies
in other than just like base terms.
I don't know if there's any way you can do it beyond that.
So, that we did it. We have no Sean.
Yeah, Sean. He's sucking his dad's dick.
Yeah, he's pulling a double shift on.
That's per usual. His dad's dick.
Dad, they suck. So, rest in power, and he's probably still basking in the afterglow of an excellent AEW show.
Yeah, what a fucking show!
My goodness. But aren't we all?
Aren't we all what?
Basking in the
still basking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I had trouble sleeping last night. I was so excited.
It's fucking rad. It was good times. If you guys can watch a replay of AEW All Out, please do. It was absolutely tremendous. So there we go. TJ is muted apparently. So here we go.
Oh, TJ,
he keeps talking, but no one's listening. So we're gonna have to vamp. Nope. Still can't hear you.
Nope, you're not talking. Anyway, we watched Yakuza Apocalypse. TJ, what'd you watch? Oh shit, you can't talk.
Oh no.
Gogs, what'd you watch this week?
I watched 2 films. I watched Predators. He's gone. I watched Predators with I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Shoot, it was on the forefront.
Danny Glover?
No, that's Predator 2. The guy from The Jacket and I think The Piano and
Adrian
Brody playing like he's doing like a Christian. You back, baby?
Yeah, I don't know. My mic came unplugged. I plugged it back in and then nothing happened. I don't know.
Oh, I probably lost the input. But yeah, I watched Adrian Brody's Predators, which is, effectively a beat for beat remake of Predator, but I'm okay with it.
I remember really liking that, but I haven't seen it in forever.
I liked it, and it's got Walton Goggins, who I just absolutely love. It's got, Adrian Brody doing a Christian Bale, I'm not wearing hockey pants voice like the entire time. It's got a really just sort of it was like the crazy Lawrence Fishburne, but you could sort of see the beginnings of that homeless king character he plays in John Wick starting to come out here. Lot of fun, lot of shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, and actually a Topher Grace performance I didn't hate, and I think I don't care for Topher Grace most of the time.
Isn't there a samurai in that movie?
There's a Yakuza fella.
Oh yeah,
and he has a sword fight with a predator, and it's very it's in like a tall field of grass, it's a very samurai throwbacky scene.
I want to say that that's the last good movie Robert Rodriguez was involved with, because I think he produced that movie.
Yeah, he did. It was like what do they call themselves? The Wild Bunch, the Bad Batch, something like that. But yeah, a lot of fun. Walton Goggins is super fun. The movie is very problematic. There's a lot of stuff that goes down in that movie that you can't really do no more. But a lot of fun. And then I watched a movie which I'm debating whether to make it my Tubi pick, because I watched it on Amazon Prime, but it's available on Tubi. I had never heard of it. Rutger Hauer's 1992 film Split Second.
Can't believe you've never seen that. I rented that movie as a child 100 times because the cover is so cool. It's got this liquid metal monster guy on the cover.
I had never even heard of it, but it was it was free on Prime, and it had I was like, oh, Rutger Hauer, he's in movies that good, bad.
He is in movies.
So let's and then the premise was the synopsis on Amazon was like wild. It was like cop hunts down serial killer in dystopian flooded post-global warming London, and like the cops are rolling around either in jeeps or in fucking hovercrafts, and like Rutger Hauer's like a strung out American detective who works for like Scotland Yard, and it's like all the B-listers from Braveheart were in it, like all of the other earls and barons that betrayed Braveheart at like the Battle of Falkirk or Stirling or wherever they turned his back on him. Like, and then the plot just throws out ideas and never wraps them up. Like, just like, no, we're not even gonna come back to it. We're just gonna keep going. And it's crazy. Like, it's ludicrous. They have a fucking full auto Gatling gun shotgun battle. Like, they fight this thing that sort of looks like if you like half watched Alien when you were drunk, but then a police sketch artist like describe what the xenomorph looked like. Like, that's what it looks like. Like, it's maybe a giant mutant rat, but it's also sentient enough to be able to leave messages in blood, and it sort of absorbs everyone's DNA, and it might be part of the occult or a demon. Like, there is a lot to unpack, and they don't bother to unpack. They just drop the bags off of the door, and then they go to Chili's. Like, they're like, fuck it, we're not going to touch any of this. We'll just, you figure it out. It was absolutely wild, and I kind of loved it. So I didn't realize. So if TJ's seen it, I'm sure Sean's seen it. Alec, have you ever seen this film?
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, so it was. I think I'll stick with my Tubi pick, but it is available on Amazon Prime and on Tubi. And then I almost watched. I got real sleepy. I almost watched Blade of the Immortal, which I need to know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
All right, so I might take the time to watch that. But that is
just remember being a little long. I think that's its only problem. But it's awesome. It's like very over the top.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's great though.
Is it more over top than what we just watched?
No.
Okay, thank God. All right, that's what I
Blade of the Immortal comic is also really good. If you get a chance to you can get like one big collected volume of the whole series. It's excellent.
Right
and
on.
the main character has a big swastika on his back.
Oh.
It's the Buddhist thing.
Oh yeah, well
I had some fucking asshole, like, there was some argument in some comic forum I was in, and they were like, like Frank Miller uses it too much. It's like, yeah, he uses it because it's in a bunch of like samurai manga. It's just a big weed. It's like, I don't think that's why. It's like, here's all your examples, idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
Pretty sure that's why.
Yeah, it's 100%. That's why Miho in Sin City has the swastika fucking the throwing star.
So the poor Buddhist just got Peppy the Frogged by.
I mean, I guess
by the Nazis. Like, they just got appropriated.
It's stupid. I mean, I get why he does it. It's stupid. Whatever. People just have no sense of
People stay edgy.
Anything else, guys?
No, that's it. Alec, what did you watch?
Hold on, I gotta type something on my phone real quick. I just found my WWE Easter pick for next month.
Oh man. Okay.
Real quick before Alec jumps in, I meant to say it when my microphone cut out. Pour one out for Michael K. Williams, who passed away today.
And Willard Scott.
Unbelievable. Willard Scott passed away?
Today, yep.
And Ed Asner, like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago. Yeah.
And Ed Asner was a real one, too. I liked Ed Asner a lot.
All three of those guys, awesome. Michael K. Williams is like 53.
Yeah, he was young, man.
Easy. Anyway.
Speaking of Ed Asner, I watched his animated thriller Up.
Oh my God.
Never seen
that movie's so good, but that movie wrecks me for like the whole movie.
That movie opens like with the toughest. Like I went to see that movie in the theater with Liz, and after the first 12 minutes, I looked at her like, "What did they? Why? And what? And no!" Like, the movie just fucking kicks you in the dick like 3 times in a row, and then they're like, "And now it's going to be kind of fun."
Yeah, it's a rough intro to be sure, but it's really good. Like, it's Pixar. Like, there's only so bad that those movies get.
Yeah.
They can't all be Cars 2.
Cars 2 is the Thor: The Dark World of the Pixar universe.
Yeah. But no, it's excellent. Like the first like 50 minutes are fucking like devastating. But after that, it's excellent. Ed Asner's really good.
He's the old
Christopher, man. Yeah, Christopher Plummer plays the bad guy.
Was it originally Kevin Spacey, and they had to switch?
Yeah. Well, funny story. I was reading some like trivia about it while we were watching it, and there's a bird in the movie that they named in the movie. They name it Kevin.
No shit.
And they named it after Kevin Spacey because he was one of the characters in A Bug's Life.
Oh shit!
So there is a Kevin Spacey connection.
Oh wow! Kevin Spacey.
And there's a young boy in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a young boy. Yeah, it's very good. Like, it's upper tier Pixar.
No pun intended.
Yeah, upper tier Pixar.
It's probably the top 3, I think, Pixar movies. It's really, really good.
I'd have to see a list, but it's definitely one of the upper echelon. And I watched another movie called Happily that stars Joel McHale and a bunch of like B-list actors, and it was okay. This couple, the premise is there's this couple. They're like obviously they're friends with a bunch of other couples, but this couple is like always all over each other and like completely in love and like head over heels all the time.
Like you and me.
But the other couples in their friends group are all get like just sick of it because they're like they never fight, they never have arguments, nothing. Like they just get sick of dealing with them all the time, so they kind of cut them out of their lives. As they're supposed to go away like on a big like couples trip with a bunch of couples to like a Airbnb for the weekend, just like to hang out and party. Mm-hmm. The next day, Stephen Root shows up at this couple's house. Yeah. He shows up at the couple's house with a briefcase and 2 needles in it and says the reason that you guys are so happy is because of some kind of genetic anomaly that there's something in your DNA where you don't get sick of each other in your brain, that you're missing some kind of chromosome or chemical, brain chemical or something.
Brain chemical.
Yeah. Where did you get a brain chemical? Yeah, and the woman gets frustrated, listens to him, and kills him. And then the rest of the movie, yeah.
Oh,
like the rest of the
seems like
movie,
a turn.
Yeah, the rest of the movie, they end up getting reinvited to the couples weekend after that, and they go and they figure out, they think that it's a prank that one of them played on them, but so they're trying to figure out who would have pulled the prank on them over the course of the weekend. It was,
but they committed murder over it.
Yes, and that's kind of glossed over, which is kind of funny. And they addressed that at the house. They're like, "Wait a minute, you murdered a guy," and some of the people are like, "You think we would play the prank?" They're like, "No, but you killed someone." It's not bad, but it's not great either. It didn't like, in the hands of probably a better director with a better cast, it probably could have been something pretty amazing. But like, it was fine. It has some good jokes. The resolution was okay.
Is it like super absurdist, or is it like kind of more grounded? Like, if it sounds like it has to be kind of weird.
It's I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's grounded in the sense that like nothing like crazy fantastical happens like with like effects or anything like that.
Right.
But it's kind of absurd the way people react to things in the movie.
It's like art of self-defense. Like,
yeah,
maybe. I guess I still haven't seen that. But maybe.
You weren't on that show? You reviewed it on the show.
Nope, I was on vacation when you guys did that.
You should watch it. It's really good.
It is
I don't know. Did you guys actually do that? Yeah, I missed it for some reason. It was the Education of Gogs month.
Yeah, it was the part where like I had to watch all the good movies I missed from the previous year.
It's on the Plex.
Yeah, I missed it for some reason. I don't remember why. But that's all that I watched. The only other thing, there's a show on Hulu that they've been pumping up called Only Murders in the Building.
It's a good title.
With Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And we just watched the first couple episodes, and it's like surprisingly really good.
What's it about?
Like I thought, based on the premise and the ads I had seen, I was like, this is just going to be like a stupid, annoying show. So these three people live in like a luxury apartment, and there's a murder, and they're all podcast junkies, so they decide to start a podcast about the murder, and they try to investigate the murder themselves.
Okay. It's kind of funny.
It's a lot better than I expected. Like Steve Martin's good in like pretty much everything he does.
Oh yeah.
He really is. He's amazing.
Martin Short is very hit or miss for me. Like sometimes he's just too over the top and like manic, but he's really like walks a good line in this. And Selena Gomez plays really good off of both of them.
What was that fucking character he used to do?
I can't remember this name.
Oh, not Guy Smiley.
Brimley something.
Walter, spiky hair.
Oh, that shit was so annoying. They had a fucking
Brimley.
Walter Grimley or something.
Brimley, somebody. Yeah, he had the spike. It was doomed as doomed could be. You know that guy.
Awful.
But I loved him in, was it Arrested Development?
Yes.
He was
he's very good in Arrested Development.
Dragon.
He also has a very funny, like, he's not, it's like a little more than a cameo in P.T. Anderson's Inherent Vice. He plays like a very strange character in that movie. Anyway, anything else, Alan?
No. I believe that's it. So, is it you?
It's me.
TJ.
It's me. It's Johnny Dupree. None of us saw Shang-Chi. Kind of amazing. I just I'm not going to a theater anymore right now. The way COVID's ramping back up, like I'm not going to go to the theater, and I'm not going to pay $30 to watch it on Disney. It's not on Disney Plus.
It's not?
No, it would have been.
Oh.
I personally, like, I don't want to go to the theater either, but it's because I'm really lazy. And I've been spoiled by these movies that come out on streaming instantly. Now it's just like, oh, it's not on streaming? Now I don't even want to see it. Apparently it's good. Most people say it's very good.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's got great, like, Rotten Tomatoes and cinema, what's it called? Cine score or whatever it is. Like, it's getting great. Yeah, it's getting great, like, numbers all around that I haven't seen like a bad review about it yet.
The thing that I'm most excited about whenever I eventually watch it is it seems like the general consensus is that the like karate in it's really well done and like well shot. Like I watched 5 minutes of a guy's review and he's like, you know, the martial arts is like on par with like a good solid like Asian martial arts movie. I'm like, yeah, all right. That's all.
Who directed it? So you didn't see it. Sean saw it? Who saw it?
I don't think anyone saw it. Not in our group, anyway. I don't know who directed it. People that direct Marvel movies, it's like almost doesn't matter in most cases. But
yeah, you say that, but like they're starting to get better directors who've done different kinds of things.
It's the same guy who directed Just Mercy, which I have not seen, but I know was really.
Oh, that movie's outstanding. I love that fucking movie.
I don't know what that is.
It's got Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. It came out.
It's not a karate movie.
No, but that's like one of the only other things this guy's directed, so that's pretty impressive.
No, I know exactly. It was, yeah, I remember it now. It was like Michael B. Jordan was like a lawyer thing.
Yeah, he's
I remember
a criminal attorney or whatever in the Deep South, trying to get a black man off for murder.
I'm always trying to get black men off, but that's a whole.
But I don't know. The Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao. I'm like, she just won a fucking Oscar for Best Picture, and the Marvels movie, which is a terrible title for the Captain Marvel sequel, but that's directed by the woman who directed the new Candyman.
I heard that's good. I need to see that too.
Yeah, I do actually want to see that a lot. I really love that guy. I want to watch everything he's in.
Jordan Peele didn't direct Candyman?
No, he produced it.
Oh.
Yeah, he just crams. He slaps his name on everything he produces as like the number one thing now.
His name's got a lot of cachet. I can't say I blame him. Anyway, so I only watched one thing. I watched Don't Breathe 2. Still Not Breathing.
That trailer looked so bad.
It is really bad. It has one of the worst plots I think I've ever seen. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And, like, you know, you watch it, and I love the first one. I know it's kind of polarizing. I really enjoyed the first one a lot. And you watch this one, and you're like, this is so off the mark. First of all, it's not a horror movie. This movie is, like, kind of like I guess it's trying to be like a grindhousey, like Death Wish kind of movie, but that doesn't really work. But anyway, you watch this and you're like, this seems like a cash in, like something that'd be like a direct to Redbox movie. I know it wasn't. I know it got a theatrical release and everything. Come to find out that this is actually written by the same guy that wrote the first one. This is written and directed by the guy that wrote the first movie, and he did both in the sequel. It's so fucking bad. And I know, like, when the trailer came out, like, everybody was like, okay, so the old man rapist is the hero now? Yes, he is. And you know what? They don't ever really resolve that point. There's a moment at the end of the movie where he kind of has his all his lost moment, and he, like, cries, and he's like, I've raped, I have killed, I'm a monster. But then he's ultimately still the good guy. So it's like, wait, what? The plot is the blind man, like, finds a little girl outside of a meth house explosion, and then raises her as his own. And then the guy that burned down the meth house, which apparently is within walking distance of the blind man's house, so it's like he tracks down his daughter and wants to get her back because his meth head girlfriend needs a heart transplant. It's so fucking stupid.
Now, if I remember correctly,
yes,
in Don't Breathe,
yes,
like, his character had captured and, like, was kidnapping and molesting women for the purposes of getting, like, he lost his daughter.
He lost a kid and he was trying to get another kid. Yeah, that was the point.
And he just got over that in this movie. Like, he's just done with that plot. Oh, okay, fair.
So yeah, I guess. Dude, this movie is so fucking stupid. And, like, the first movie, you know, the blind man commando, you kind of give it a pass because, well, one, it's kind of a fun premise, and two, he's in his house, right? So, like, you can understand, like, if this guy, you know, this guy's trained, this guy knows every inch of his own house.
That home field advantage.
It kind of makes sense. So in this movie, they're only in his house for, like, not even the first quarter of the movie. Then he goes to this other like meth lab, and he's still being like a commando, but it's like he has no concept. Like, it's so dumb. And I feel bad for Stephen Lang, who's, like, really good in the movie. Like, he's trying his heart out, and, like, Stephen Lang is, like, super charismatic, and it's like he deserves better. This movie is trash. Don't watch it. I can't not recommend this enough. It's so bad. And, like, the funny thing is, it's also, like, really short. But I was, like, still, like, end this fucking. As soon as you see where the movie is going, you're like, oh god, just stop now. Just, it's enough. It's so bad, and it's completely pointless. Like, it is the textbook definition of unneeded sequel. Like, I get why they made it a sequel. Why they made a sequel to it, because the first one made, like, I think $157 million on a $13 million budget, so it did huge money. But, like, this sequel,
I think I'm not going to see it, so spoiler alert. Does he live through this one?
Well, he presumably dies, but there's a stinger where it's implied that he survives.
So are they going to do, like, I'm just wondering, are they going to keep taking this thing? Probably. Are they going to take this thing the Saul route and turn him into the Jigsaw anti-hero?
He doesn't do anything. Like, they ran out of ideas for things for him to do in this movie, so I can't imagine what else they're gonna do. Like, you're literally rooting for, like, the worst character. And the funny thing is that I read some press junket stuff about the movie and, like, what the director said, and he's like, it's a movie where bad things happen to bad people, but that's not how. Like, you can do that, and
that was the first movie.
Well, and you can also you can write around that, right? Like, there's plenty of movies I like where there's literally no redeeming characters. fucking Hateful Eight, fucking Only God Forgives. Those are all movies about horrible people that horrible things happen to. But this movie, like, he is, like, Stephen Lang's character is literally a hero, and he's constantly shown as being, like, virtuous because he's trying to save the little girl. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're the villain, like, the guy that was, like, a serial rapist has, like, a moral compass now. It just doesn't work. It's bad. And the only thing that kind of saves it is there's some, it doesn't save it at all, but it gives it, like, a star instead of 0 stars, is that there are some really good gore effects in this movie. Like, the movie is very violent, and there's some really gross shots that they do, but it overall is terrible movie, fucking awful movie. Hated it. But that's all I watched. I planned on going to see Shang-Chi today, but I just didn't feel like leaving the house. So hopefully, I feel like it seems like even with these movies like The Green Knight and like Zola and a few other like box office movies, maybe not this one because it's a Marvel movie, it seems like the box office time frame between when it's in the theater to when it's on demand has gotten a lot smaller. So hopefully Shang-Chi is the same way, but maybe I'll carry my ass to the theater. I don't know. I'd like to see it. Just didn't get to it. Too busy playing video games and not leaving. Just sitting around is so much fun. Anyway, let's get into our feature presentation. Takashi Miike's Yakuza Apocalypse. This is probably like his, God, I don't know. He's probably made 20 Yakuza movies. Probably more, actually. He made so many Yakuza movies that, like, and he's made, like, serious Yakuza movies. There's a movie called Ley Lies that's really good. Or, excuse me, Ley Lines, which I believe is like a cartography term.
It's like a thing. It's like a supernatural term.
It is? Okay.
There are lines that meet up. Like if you draw lines in certain places around the world and they meet up in like places like Stonehenge and like the Bermuda Triangle, they intersect in places like that. It's some like Wiccan or some kind of thing like that.
But that's a really good serious Takashi Miike movie. Blues Harp is really good. Like, he's done everything, but then he's made stuff like this. And he made a movie called Full Metal Yakuza, which is about like this cyborg Yakuza, which is kind of amazing. The guy's done, I mean, again, he's made like, I think 205 movies or something insane. This is one of his, like, I don't know, this is him at his most deranged and like nonsensical.
This movie is like a fucking fever dream. Like, I don't like.
Yeah. It's about a young Yakuza named, oh God, what's his name? Kageyama, I think is his name.
I believe that's correct. It's
Kageyama.
Let's go with it.
Kageyama is like an apprenticed Yakuza to his boss. The boss has, like, the intro of this movie might be the best part of the movie. I love the intro where this old Japanese man literally just goes ham through like this entire base and like is being stabbed and shot and like it's just bloody and ridiculous and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But the boss ends up, and then that scene ends with him seeing his girlfriend and then eating her. So Kageyama is an apprentice to the boss in this small town. Forget the name of the town. But it's this small town where the Yakuza and the local residents it's kind of like The Godfather 2, right? Like that what was the name of the Don that everybody...
The Black Hand.
The Black Hand, yeah. So it's the same idea. It's a small town. The Yakuza lives there, but they keep everything in order, so everybody loves them. Everybody looks up to the boss, especially Kageyama, and he wants to be a Yakuza. He wants to get his big Yakuza tattoo on his back. Also, all the tattoos.
But he has sensitive skin.
Yeah, he can't he can't deal with a needle.
God.
All the tattoos in this movie are also super tits. I love the tattoos in this movie.
And these Yakuza, I think it needs to be pointed out, they operate with a very sort of strict honor code of just keeping it in the...
Well, that is the Yakuza. That is.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
That's no different than like the mafia thing. Like,
I think the mafia they don't care about civilians anywhere near as much as the Yakuza appear to.
I don't know. If you look at like a classic mafia stuff, like The Godfather, they're always like, think about like Godfather 1, right? Remember that whole plot was like, we don't want to bring drugs in. We want
yeah.
Like,
you're right.
It's an honor code thing. It's a well worn trope in these kind of things. But anyway, then out of nowhere, this guy that's dressed up like a pilgrim.
He's dressed up like a Rembrandt painting, and I don't know why he's here.
He's a vampire hunter.
And he speaks English.
And he speaks English because Takashi Miike is obsessed with Japanese people speaking English.
So I have lots of questions. Was he hired to do this? Was he hunting the boss? And why was his gun made out of one of the table legs from an IKEA table?
I don't know, why not?
He was I don't know if he was hired, but he was part of the like main Yakuza. Because they didn't like that the boss broke off from them and started his own Yakuza.
Yeah, that's why before he kills the boss, he's like, come back to the syndicate. And he's like, no. Like that, Alex is exactly right.
I missed that whole plot point then.
It was like at the very beginning.
I mean, it's easy. It's very easy to miss plot points in this movie. There's a billion of them, and they come like 50 a minute.
Yeah,
I couldn't figure out I couldn't figure out why he was being betrayed by his troops, and then I couldn't figure out why the guy from the raid. I know the guy from the raid was there to accompany the vampire hunter fella with the coffin backpack. And, and then, but I guess,
and then his anti-vampire gun that looked like just like metal welded together.
It had the screw plate from an IKEA table like on the end of it. It was just like metal piping.
And then he's got the goddamn like atom collector from BioShock because he gets the blood from the
and then. For some reason, okay, keep going.
So this guy, the guy that looks like a pilgrim, he looks like fucking Solomon Kane, if anybody knows that character. He kills the boss. Him and the guy from the raid that Gog just talks about. The guy from the raid is dressed up like a dork. He's got this like backpack and like
he's full of like weeby like hentai posters and stuff.
Oh yeah, he has glasses and he has like it looks like he has like blueprints and tubes like in a backpack on his back.
Yeah.
And he twists the boss head off and twists his head around I love 30 times.
Yeah.
So they kill the boss, and to make sure he's dead, the guy twists his head off.
But spoiler alert, it still wasn't enough to make sure he was dead.
Oh god.
But there's also like before the boss died, you're introduced to this weird scenario that they revisit later of like, I guess it's a Yakuza reform school that's happening in the basement of a sushi restaurant.
Well, no, they are reforming, but they also are like, you know how in like Dracula mythology, he's got to like live in like the dirt from Transylvania or whatever. Or, like sometimes it's just a coffin. Well, they are making his bedding that he sleeps in that's like in that same layer. That's what they're doing.
I missed that. I was wondering what they were doing there.
But I thought I thought it came back later that these guys were trying to be reformed.
They are.
So he could feed on them and they would taste better.
That is correct.
Because Yakuza taste bad and are not nourishing.
That is correct. All that is accurate. See, you understand. You got it all.
I get it. A turtle demon shows up.
A kappa.
Yeah.
Kappa.
That guy looks gross. I couldn't even look at him.
That was unpleasant to see. Why?
There's a lot of Japanese mythology like tied into this movie. Like the frog guy is a weird kind of manifestation of a yokai. The kappa that you guys are talking about, a kappa is a turtle spirit that like was known to like hoard like wealth and treasures and things. And he also is known to be quite pungent. That's why they can't stand to be around him, because he stinks. Also, that is some effective ass makeup. Like it's just a guy with like a beak, but it looks so gross. Like
that
the
mouth prosthetic was just oh gross.
So anyway, sorry. Where
were we? Who cares?
The boss gets his head twisted off, and then Kageyama gets fucking his ass handed to him by the raid guy, but they leave him alive, He grabs the boss's head. The boss's head isn't quite dead yet, and the boss spits his blood into Kageyama.
And he somehow lunges his freeform head manages to, I guess, generate enough momentum by moving, I guess, his tongue or his jaw to launch his face at Kageyama's neck.
He says, "Live the path of a Yakuza vampire Yakuza."
Yeah.
And that introduces the concept that not only was the boss a vampire, he was a Yakuza vampire.
That's also
which
true.
Which is very important in this movie because you find out that he's like regular vampires, I guess, are one thing, but these are Yakuza vampires because this whole movie is about the dichotomy of Yakuza and civilians. And eventually, there are no spoiler alerts for this movie. There are no civilians left in this town. Everyone is some kind of Yakuza by the end of this movie. And then the world ends. That is basically the point of this movie.
Many Takashi Miike movies end with the world coming to an end.
Just this and Dead or Alive.
Okay, well, those are two of the 6 movies I've seen by Takashi Miike. Yeah, so 33% of the films I've seen of his, the like world
less
ends.
Than 5% of his total output. But anyway, so yeah, after that, I will this movie just kind of Kageyama tries to come to terms with being a vampire Yakuza.
He comes to terms with it fairly quickly. He just starts sucking neck.
Oh yeah,
he starts turning people immediately.
People just
the whole town is turned within a day.
Well, and then, like Gog said, there's a scene where the guy that was running the weird reform school thing, the sushi chef or whatever, he explains in a hilarious fashion. He's got chalkboards with all the rules. He explains how civilian blood tastes really good and it's addictive, but you got to be careful because then if you turn too many civilians into Yakuza vampires, the Yakuza vampires don't taste good, and they're not nutritious, so you'll become malnourished. Yeah. And then the rest of this movie is just everyone turning into, literally, like Alex just said, the town gets turned in 5 seconds. And then, fumbling...
A frog monster is awakened? Awoken?
The frog monster is the ultimate terrorist, the head boss of the true Yakuza.
And he's wearing a Kermit the Frog cosplay.
The best part, I love when he's introduced and he's just walking down the street and he's wearing this ridiculous costume. And these guys are like, "Oh, is the store opening soon?" And that's a Japanese thing. We do it here too, but they always have mascots for store openings and shit. So and then he just who's ever in this suit fucking kicks ass. The fact that he can do karate and shit in this giant frog head. Because he just beats ass. That's all he does.
But, the eyes of the frog suit are also sort of
Well, you gotta understand, that's not a suit. It's supposed to be... It is a suit. But, in the mythology of this film, that's a living thing. And he sheds his skin at the end of the movie.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
To have another frog head underneath it.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
And then he's got, a fucking... a King Hippo-esque fucking bandage over his belly button that wants to get yanked off. He shoots lasers into the sky.
It turns into his final form, which is a giant kaiju monster that will bring about the Yakuza apocalypse.
The female former captain of the Yakuza, her ears are just exploding with milk.
It's her brains. I don't know. That is the one. I don't know what they're going for in that one.
But she's using that to try and grow new civilians in a greenhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I don't understand. I know, but
you understand. It's surface level. There's not much to it. It's absurd.
It's bonkers.
It's not there's deeper meaning behind any of it.
And then the last 2 guys, they get into the raid guy. So the frogman gets his belly button ripped open, and then his soul escapes to his final form. And then the guy from the raid has they play lumberjack or whatever and punch each other in the face for the better part of 6 minutes.
Yeah, and earlier the raid guy gets beat like halfway through the movie by Kagimura, and he's frustrated with that. They hook him up to some kind of like electrical machine.
They like strap his brain to a Van de Graaff generator and just hook him up in the basement.
But then at the end of that scene, he drinks the boss's blood, so presumably he's got more power or whatever. So there's like a big showdown at the end between those two. After the big showdown between Kagimura and the Frogman. Also, I don't think we pointed out, but like Gog just talked about the bumbling Yakuza. They are in this movie too. They are constantly fucking things up. The boss, who like is gone insane, like the female boss. I don't think she's ever given a name in this movie. They just call her. They call her
Captain the whole
Captain.
time.
That's it. Yeah, they call her Captain. She's like totally insane, and she she keeps hearing a drip. And then that manifests into like her ears exploding and the milk that she uses to plant a garden where civilians are going to grow so they can have more civilians. Because the normal Yakuza can't survive without civilians. You could say that they're drinking the blood of the civilians, while literal Yakuza vampires are drinking the blood.
Yeah, it's a very like
it's hilarious. It's
on the nose metaphor.
It's funny as hell. Like that's just a fucking. I mean, again, nothing in this movie is meant like. There's not like. It's not like there's like a deeper reading into any of this. Like it's just on its face completely absurd, and they understand that it's absurd. And I think the one thing I liked a lot about it is like Kagimura feels like he's in a different movie. Like he plays it entirely serious.
He plays it so serious, and he's not bad in it at all. He's pretty good.
If you've ever played, God, you played these, right? The Yakuza video games.
Yeah.
They're a lot like this, where absurd shit happens like all the time, but everyone is very serious.
Yeah.
Like the plots are very insane, but like everything is very serious and very important. And this movie is definitely like that. But yeah, and
then he turns into a bat monster, I guess, to fight this
kaiju.
Fucking kaiju. Yeah.
And just to point out, when I say he turns into a kaiju, it's literally like the most obvious like model work. Like he's stepping on plastic people.
They're like from like a train set you would find in like your uncle's attic. Like it's like he's exploding maybe out of the sun. I don't know. Like there's some.
Yeah.
It is.
But there's so much. Like I think Alex said it. There's so many things they just throw out there. Like there's a scene where they talk about the sustenance that these vampires need, but then really they drop it completely because the whole town are vampire Yakuza now. Like the entire town. There's no civilians left.
But everybody was like their own weird flavor of Yakuza. There was like security guard, police Yakuza.
I love that scene. Like
everyone just took their job and they kind of Yakuza'd it up a little bit. Everyone's like, yeah, we're not going to do that no more. Yeah, you got to pay us extra. Or yeah,
I'm Yakuza police. I drink and play cards all day.
And I didn't understand the one thing where the kid. There's a weird scene in the beginning where the kid, like, I guess there was no money, and this kid wanted his dad to behead him, so he didn't have to like feed him anymore. But then that guy ends up got because the mob boss saves him. But then the kid turns into a vampire and he pulls his hair off to make more hair.
I love that.
And then he grows a tattoo on his back.
Yeah, well, that happens when you become
become a Yakuza vampire. You get a tattoo.
His tattoo is hilarious as well. But yeah,
why were they able to be out in the sunlight?
I don't think they have regular. Obviously, they're not playing by normal vampire rules.
Yeah, and that's bullshit. Vampire rules are universal.
I mean, I don't think that. Again, there's a lot of things in this movie that they just throw it out. Like, so vampire rules are universal, but are Yakuza vampire rules universal?
So are like
that's a cop out on Takashi Miike's part.
He didn't
I want him to be in the sunlight, so whatever. I'm gonna let him be in the sunlight.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
that's stupid.
I think it's funny. Out of all the stuff that happens in this movie, that's the hill that you're like, nah, that's too much. That's a bridge too far.
Was the soba noodle frog egg thing like him, like foreshadowing the fight against the frogman?
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's frog eggs. Right?
That's why I guess it was just super fucking gross.
He fights a giant frog at the end of the movie. So yeah. Also, he didn't even touch on the fact that the two bumbling Yakuza guys, the one who's named Angus,
yeah,
fucking hilarious to be a Japanese guy named Angus. They get like this battle wagon out of nowhere.
Yeah,
to fight the fucking frog. Oh god. Anyway,
yeah, there was a lot going on in this movie.
Definitely a lot going on in this movie.
This was not A to B.
It's an absurd film, and I love every minute of it. I wish I did. Well, I'll get into it, but anything else I'm going to talk about before we get into 5 Knuckle Shuffle?
What was the point of the woman that he saved from being molested, and then she's in the hospital with her eyes bandaged up? Was that like the one thing he wouldn't turn into a vampire? Like that was his last.
Well, he did at the very end, but like, I don't know. It's like it's the love interest that's in every one of these Yakuza movies. I think that's the other thing, that this movie is an active parody of a lot of his other films, like the more serious films that I mentioned earlier, and the Yakuza genre in of itself. There's always a girl like that in these movies, like the one that's like, oh, if everything worked out, I could have a straight life or whatever. I think that's kind of like a remnant of that. I don't know. It just seemed kind of tacked on. Like it's like she's kind of an afterthought by the end of the movie. Like, oh yeah, she existed. And there's like that one scene in the very beginning of the movie where he leaves her hospital bed and she's just like, it's like a scene out of like Silent Hill. She's got like her bandages and she's just staring out the hospital window. It's like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this movie is nuts. Anything else, guys?
No, nope.
Alec,
I need to hear this.
I
don't think you
God
did as much as I think you think you did.
This I don't know. This movie is something else. It's shot really well.
Yeah, this is shot really well.
It's shot really well. You can see the fight's good. Like it's probably the best shot of all the Japanese movies that we've watched, as far as like color contrast, the color, like the focus, like everything looks super crisp. It's almost like he shot it in like, I don't know, 4K or something, because it looks beautiful and everything, all the colors and everything pop like beautifully off the screen. I don't know that I've seen any movies that look as good as this. Like it looks so beautiful.
Well, and it's like super over the top. Like all the he uses a lot of bright colors and shit in this.
Very saturated. It's clean.
But fuck, man, every scene where the main character wasn't on camera was like, I was just like, I had no clue. I could not keep up. I had no idea what was going on. And it was incomprehensible at times. Like even with subtitles, like I was still like, what the fuck is happening? I do not understand what is happening with this shit. Like it is all over the place and it moves 1 billion miles an hour and doesn't explain anything and just keeps going.
Yeah, I thought there was parts of this movie where they expected me to know stuff that I just didn't know.
And I mean, it's for a different audience. It's for a Japanese audience, so I'm sure there's cultural things that
I think a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff would probably play different in the Japanese audience.
It was like if somebody gave me a book written in Spanish, it was like, I need you to read this beginning to end. Like, I'd understand some of the words and maybe be able to understand what they're talking about at a few points. But overall, I'd just be like, what the fuck? I don't understand this at all. God, I honestly don't know how to score this. Like, it's... I guess it's like a 6. It wasn't boring, and I'm going to remember it. But I just... It was like impenetrable at points. And I had a really hard time getting past the fact that the vampires were out in the sun all the time. Like I could not get beyond that. Like every time I was like, this is like everybody who knows about vampires, they suck blood and they can't go out in sunlight. Those are the 2 things you know about vampires. And you know nothing else about them. And immediately, like in the very first scene, the guy is out in the sunlight. You find out he's a vampire later. But fuck, The karate's really good. The fighting is really good.
The fighting is really good. Man.
That dude, the main character, is a stud. He's like awesome. Yeah, I'll give it a 6. It wasn't terrible, but like it was too.
It was too weird.
Too impenetrable for me to get my head around. Gogs.
Like literally everything Alex said. I had no idea how to score this thing. Like it's just there's stuff about it I like, and it's true. I didn't hate it. I will remember it. Like Liz asked me after, she's like, "How's the movie?" I go, I don't know. Like I finished it. Like, I don't know what to make of it. I'd love to see the main character in other stuff. He was really, really good in it. It's just like I like weird stuff, but this is like weird for the sake of weird, which normally I'm into. But this is I just couldn't. Right, like Alex said, it's like impenetrable. I'm like, what? And why are we doing this now? And I guess if you look at it maybe from the lens of parody, maybe that would be it. But I'm not familiar enough with what they're parodying to appreciate that. So yeah, it's also going to be a 6 for me. But it's insane, and the fight scenes in it are really good. I wanted more fight scenes. I had to look the guy's name up. It's like his name's like Yayan Ruhain, the guy from the fucking
guy from Raid.
Yeah, that guy is
that guy
just
rocks.
A fucking monster.
Yeah, that end fight scene in the first Raid that he's in is so good.
His scene in the Raid 2, his scenes in Raid 2 are insane. That guy kicks a pile of ass. But yeah, it's a 6. It's super fucking weird. It's like I don't get it. I'm trying to get it. There's whole plot lines that they talk about that they're just I'm like, why are we doing this now? Like, where did she even get the idea to grow new civilians? And then from what? From whence, woman? Whence? Like, it's bananas. But anyway, yeah, it's a 6. TJ.
It's an 8 for me, dog. I love this movie. I love just the balls to the walls insanity of this film. I think like I always really go hard for stuff that's like not like anything else, and you'd be hard pressed to find anything that's like this movie. I don't know. I have I've watched, like I said, I've watched a ton of Takashi Miike movies, and I'm always impressed by how different his films are. Like he can make stuff that's like, like he can make stuff in like any genre, including just like whatever the hell this is. Like you can make something like Audition, you can make something like fucking 13 Assassins, and then you can make this. It's like, how is that possible? Like I feel like a director that would make a movie like this would only make this kind of movie. This just insane stream of consciousness film. I mean, there is like big laughs in this movie for me when they could do the kaiju fight at the end. I think that's fucking hilarious. Like the fact that every time somebody gets their blood sucked, there's the Japanese character for suck on their forehead. I thought was funny. Like I loved how this movie is like every goddamn shoujin anime. Every time somebody fights, they're like, yeah, like it's all like. It's a lot of grit teeth and screaming and blood everywhere. I love it. There's just so much to like about this movie, and the fact that like I don't know, it's like there's just so many weird ass ideas. Like, hey, we're gonna have this guy dress up like a pilgrim, and he's gonna speak English, and he's obviously doesn't speak English like normally. So we're just gonna have that happen. And then we're going to have a Kappa show up that stinks, and we're going to have a frog guy. And I think it's funny because this movie, while not the most well-known movie out there, that gif of the frog guy taking off the frog costume to reveal yet another frog costume underneath, I've seen that gif shared around a ton. And it's just funny because it's like that stuff is kind of transcended this film.
I did laugh out loud when that reveal happened. I was like, all right.
But also, whoever is in that suit is fucking yoked as shit. Like, whoever like did all that fighting. But yeah, I love the fighting. I love the, I like the gore scenes in this movie too. Like I said, the beginning of this movie where the boss is just like killing everybody left and right, and he's getting shot and stabbed, and it's fucking awesome. But yeah, great movie. Big fan. I love it to death. And yeah,
I will say one issue that I did have that probably made it a little less fun was that I had a problem with the subtitles.
Yeah, there were
and like even when I searched for them, like I couldn't get it to work on Plex. Like I searched for them, I applied it, still couldn't get it to work, so I had to watch it on Tubi. So I had tons of ads.
Oh, that sucks.
And that probably didn't help the pacing at all, which was already fucking absurd.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So that probably did. I'm sure that didn't help with how I felt about it.
Well, that was Yakuza Apocalypse. Whose pick is it next week?
I mean, I've got two in the chamber. I'm gonna do a coin toss to figure out which one it is.
Alex, you got a pick?
I have 6 in the chamber.
Oh Jesus! All right, well, one of you decide.
I mean, it doesn't matter. We're both gonna go.
All right. Go ahead, Al. If you can narrow it down from 1 to 6. Otherwise, I'm gonna flip this coin.
All right. Fuck. Like, I want the show to watch like all of these.
Just make a list.
Pretty much. Like, I should let you guys vote on it. But you won't. But you won't know. You don't know a couple of them, I'm sure. Oh man. We'll do These Final Hours.
These Final Hours.
It's the Australian apocalypse movie about the guy who finds the girl who's about to be molested, and he saves her. So that's what we'll watch.
Well, go USA. All right.
That's what we're watching next week. These Final Hours. Looking forward to it.
Yep. I don't think it's that long.
That's what she said.
It is a tight hour, 86 minutes. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Well, that's the show. Your own ass, and do that thing you do, which is each of their ass.
Nice.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Good luck, jerks.